The Zorthri did not speak with mouths, nor did they arrive in ships as humans understood them. They manifested tall, angular figures of silvery translucence within Earth's orbit one silent morning, and offered a singular proposal: join the intergalactic concord, or remain quarantined indefinitely. There was a catch. To qualify, a species had to pass what the Zorthri called the test of cognitive superiority. It had been centuries since another civilization succeeded. Earth, they implied, had little hope, but protocol demanded the offer be made. The United Earth Council scrambled. Militaries panicked. Philosophers argued, and social media collapsed into chaos. But amid the noise, 4 individuals found themselves on a shuttle bound for the Zorthri orbiting structure known simply as the Lattice. They were not the best Earth had to offer, just the ones who said yes before reading the fine print. Captain Adira Nwosu leaned against the carbon fiber wall of the Lattice's receiving chamber, her uniform crisp despite the zero gravity. Her eyes never left the tall figure across from her, a Zorthri emissary who shimmered like liquid mercury. Decades of military service had taught her 2 things: don't blink first, and trust the oddballs. She turned slightly toward her team. Status: Dr. Raji Patel, known as RJ to friends, though he rarely had any, tapped at his notepad, eyes narrowed. His field had once been pure mathematics, but he'd left academia years ago to design logic games for neurodivergent children. Now he looked as if he were regretting every career decision he'd ever made. Still parsing their numerical schema, RJ muttered. Base system seems non-decimal. Symbols rotate. Entire thing's a recursive lattice. Maya Lin, cross-legged in midair, gently spun a stylus between her fingers. An art student by trade, she saw patterns the others missed, angles of color, symmetry, rhythm. Her presence on the team had raised eyebrows until she solved 3 Zorthri logic gates on a whim during Earth's preliminary assessment. They're not thinking in equations, Maya said, her tone dreamy but sure. They're thinking in structure, pattern and void, form and balance. RJ rolled his eyes. Great. Alien origami. Floating nearby, Leo Alvarez grinned. Grease-stained sleeves and a 3D printed Sudoku cube clipped to his belt. Leo looked wildly out of place, an engineer with mechanics' instincts and a hacker's ethics. You're all overthinking it, he said. This is a logic test. Logic is puzzles. Puzzles are games. Games are fun. So relax. RJ snapped. It's a test designed by a civilization that views pure logic as divine truth, not a toy. Leo shrugged. I'll take divine truth for 200 Alex. A chime pulsed through the chamber. The Zorthri emissary raised a hand, if the jointed appendage could be called that, and a doorway irised open. Beyond it stood a dark room, its floor gleaming with geometric panels. At the center hovered a massive cube etched with thousands of glowing symbols, drifting slowly in the air like a puzzle waiting to be solved. The Zorthri's voice arrived without sound, directly in their minds. Enter. Complete the grid. You have 12 Earth hours. Maya shivered. That was intimate. Adira pushed off toward the chamber. Let's go. The interior felt both ancient and clinical. The cube pulsed softly, its light dancing across their faces. As they floated closer, the symbols resolved into something familiar. Numbers, grids, deliberate blanks, symmetrical rules. RJ's brow furrowed. He squinted, tilted his head. Then his mouth fell open. Wait a minute, he whispered. No way. Leo floated up beside him. What? RJ didn't respond. He was scanning the faces of the cube, his finger tracing invisible lines. Oh my God, he breathed. It's Sudoku. Silence fell. Adira blinked. I'm sorry. It's Sudoku, RJ repeated, louder this time. It's a hypercube version of Sudoku. The layers, the numeric placement, even constraints. It's a damn logic puzzle dressed up in alien aesthetics. Leo hooped. I knew this was going to be fun. Adira didn't move. Her voice, calm but firm, cut through the rising tension. Explain. Now. RJ pointed rapidly. Each face is a 9 by 9 grid. Numbers from 1 to 9, though represented with glyphs. appear with no repeats across rows, columns, and zones. But the zones here wrap around the cube. Think four-dimensional Sudoku. It's complex, yes, but not unknowable. Maya drifted closer, her fingers trailing through projected grid. There's balance here. Visual balance. They weren't hiding it. They thought we wouldn't recognize it. Adira's eyes narrowed. They don't think we're smart. They think we're different. So different we won't see what's familiar, even when it's in front of us. RJ shook his head. No, it's worse. They believe logic is a sacred language, but they've dressed it up in so many layers of abstraction, they forgot how to look at it sideways. They assume no culture, without their exact framework, could ever solve this. Leo cracked his knuckles. Then let's remind them that humans invented jazz, sarcasm, and solving puzzles just to kill time in waiting rooms. Adira gave a thin smile. 12 hours. RJ checked the hovering counter. 11 hours. 51 minutes now. She turned to face the cube, posture straight, voice clear. Then let's win a spot in the galaxy by beating an alien Sudoku. The cube glowed like a sleeping giant, its luminescent symbols drifting across each surface in rhythmic pulses. It hovered silently, suspended in the center of the chamber, waiting. RJ Patel stared at it, mind whirring. All right, he muttered, brushing a hand through his thick, graying hair. We treat each face as a grid. Standard constraints. 1 through 9, no repeats in rows or columns. But now we've got cross-phase dependencies, maybe rotational logic. It's three-dimensional no, 4. They're layering it. Sounds like my ex, Leo said cheerfully. He floated upside down, wrenching a stylus out his tool belt and flipping it end over end. High-maintenance multidimensional and needs constant validation. Adira shot him a look. Focus. RJ ignored the banter, already sketching symbols midair on his holopad. The pad auto-corrected the alien glyphs into human numerals, converting their unfamiliar swoops and lines into neat Arabic digits. Across from him, Maya Lin watched the cube as if it were breathing. There's a rhythm, she murmured. The lights, see how they pulse? 9 beats, then pause. Again, and again. It's a visual metronome. RJ glanced up. Timed input. Maybe, she said, or it's how they think. Logic encoded through rhythm, not just math pattern, like visual music. Leo's grin widened. You're saying it's an alien rave puzzle? She's saying the form is as important as the function, Adira interjected. Keep looking for connections. Leo pressed a palm against one face of the cube. Instantly, a field of glyphs shimmered to life beneath his hand. Translucent numbers arrayed in neat squares. The whole face lit up in a dull amber, signaling activation. RJ frowned. No turning back now. Wasn't planning to, Leo said. 2 hours passed. Symbols blinked. Grids reconfigured. And tension mounted. RJ took lead on deduction, tracking logical constraints, noting repetitions, scanning for misalignments. Every move required absolute precision. An incorrect placement resulted in a blaring, dissonant hum and a ripple of nauseating distortion that passed through the chamber like a gravitational hiccup. They made 3 mistakes early on. After the third, Maya's stylus floated loose from her hand as she gripped her temples. This place is spinning. Adaptive feedback, RJ said grimly, punishes wrong logic with environmental destabilization. Classic Zorthree design. Leo sucked his teeth. That's some hardcore puzzle snobbery. That's religious orthodoxy disguised as test design. RJ corrected. They aren't evaluating what we solve. They're judging how we fail. Adira floated in front of a translucent panel, watching the team work. She wasn't a mathematician, and she knew it, but she could read people. And right now, RJ was riding the edge of collapse. His hands were steady, but his breathing had gone shallow. His eyes twitched, flicking from glyph to glyph with increasing desperation. His internal clock, the thing that had once let him build perfect difficulty curves for brain training games, was now betraying him. He couldn't feel the flow, only pressure. RJ, she said calmly, step back. I'm fine. You're overheating. You're no good to us when you're spiraling. He didn't respond, but he did let go of the grid. For a moment, he just floated there, eyes closed, absorbing the silence. Maya moved into his place, her hand brushing along the edge of the cube. Instead of direct analysis, she began sketching. Simple circles, lines, shapes. She turned the numerical puzzle into a visual one, drawing concentric patterns to reveal embedded symmetries. Leo peered over her shoulder. That diagonal curves repeating across faces. Maya nodded. It's recursive. They're not thinking in rows. They're thinking in curves in negative space. Fill the voids, not the blocks. RJ opened one eye. Wait, he muttered. You mean we've been solving it like a grid, but it's a sphere in logic's clothing? Maya grinned. Exactly. A flicker of energy pulsed from the cube. One face slid silently inward, locking into place. A satisfying click echoed through the chamber. Progress, Adira said. Checkpoint unlocked, Leo quipped. RJ chuckled, short and bitter. You know, the irony here is delicious. I spent years designing cognitive puzzles. Hundreds of hours trying to craft the perfect curve, the right balance between frustration and insight. But I couldn't solve this until I stopped thinking like me. Then think like us, Maya said. Think messy. Think sideways. They began working as a unit after that. RJ handled structural logic and deduction. Maya tracked emerging patterns and visual shifts. Leo mapped interactions between the cube's faces, calculating wraparound dependencies with a tablet he modified into a real-time tracker. Adira maintained the room's stability, calling breaks, redirecting focus, and intervening when cognitive load threatened to collapse one of them. Every time they completed a phase, the cube adjusted, rotating itself, realigning its glow, revealing a new challenge. Hours passed. The temperature fluctuated. The cube's hum grew deeper, its pulses slower. As they solved, the chamber itself seemed to respond, as though the cube were alive or watching. At the 10th hour, the chamber shuddered. Lights dimmed. Leo turned, stylus still in hand. Was that a good thing? The cube began to unfold. Segments of its surface slid apart like petals opening on some mechanical flower, revealing an inner sphere made of shimmering, liquid glyphs. Unlike the crisp logic of the earlier puzzles, this structure was abstract, organic. It pulsed irregularly. Symbols merged, dissolved, and reformed in patterns no longer bound by strict rows or columns. RJ stared, mouth dry. They changed the rules. Maya floated closer. No, they changed the language. Leo frowned. Wait, what's even the goal now? The Zorthri voice returned, colder than before. Phase 2, cognitive adaptability. Adira exhaled slowly. Now we find out what the test is really for. The sphere inside the cube writhed like a living equation. Symbols bled into one another, forming shapes too fluid to hold meaning for more than a moment. The rules had dissolved, literally, and with them, any illusion control. This isn't logic anymore, RJ said flatly, his voice hollow. No, Maya replied, eyes fixed on the swirling chaos. It's interpretation, perception. They've taken away structure to see how we react. Like pulling the floor out from under us mid-solve, Leo muttered. Classic sadist move. The Zorthri voice returned, whispering directly into their minds with a tone now unmistakably laced with condescension. Comprehension is not memorization. Intelligence is not repetition. Proceed. Adira's jaw tightened. The aliens were no longer simply evaluating. They were watching, judging, maybe even amused. Focus, she ordered. We've beaten their game once. We'll beat it again. The team split instinctively. RJ drifted back, overwhelmed. For a man who built his world around structure, the sphere was a betrayal. It was math stripped of rigor, code without syntax. His brain, tuned for elegance and logic, balked at its chaos. I can't map this, he said. It's noise. Maya moved in, transfixed. No, it's intention. Look. She pointed to the surface of the sphere. See how the symbols morph? They're following stimulus. Watch. She reached out and traced a curve in the air. The symbols shifted along her motion path, blooming into spirals, then collapsing back. "It's reactive," she breathed. "It's not a puzzle. It's a conversation." Leo's eyes lit up. "It's an interface." He spun toward his backpack, yanked out a tangle of magnetic coils and a compact projector. "I can rig a visualizer. Feed it input. Watch what happens." Adira raised an eyebrow. "We're experimenting now." Leo grinned. "We're improvising. Big difference." He floated closer, reassembled his tools midair, and aimed projector at the sphere. A beam of shifting geometric patterns spilled across the surface. In response, the sphere pulsed, then began to imitate the projection, warping itself into a lattice of similar patterns. "Okay," Leo said. "It's mimicking, copying stimuli to establish common ground. It's not giving us a test anymore. It's waiting for us to teach it." RJ scoffed. "You don't teach a test. You take it." "Not this time," Maya said gently. "This is about adaptation, not completion. They're measuring how we respond to the unknown. They expect confusion, frustration, collapse." Adira floated silently for a beat, then nodded. "Then we do what humans do best. We improvise with the chaos." They worked fast. Leo's projector became a medium, broadcasting waveforms, recursive patterns, even snippets of music from his stored archives. Maya guided the input, sketching symmetries and visual rhythms onto a shared interface. Slowly, the sphere began to reflect their designs, stabilizing into semi-predictable loops. RJ, still distant, watched with something like disbelief. Everything in him resisted this undisciplined, unstructured play. It felt like surrendering rigor for whimsy. And yet, it was working. He gripped his tablet. "Try pairing Fibonacci sequences with the color shifts," he said, voice quiet but firm. "Run them against Maya's spirals. If it's truly adaptive, it'll seek convergence." Maya looked back and smiled. "There you are." Adira observed them all, noting how the fear had shifted. It hadn't vanished, but it had evolved into something productive. The kind of tension she recognized from battles where victory came not through strength, but through flexibility under pressure. "Time check," she called. Leo checked the interface. 98 minutes left. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. A low rumble echoed from the chamber walls. The sphere flared violently, its symbols melting into a storm of writhing code. The Zorthri voice returned, sharper now. "Deviation exceeds predicted variance. Human response exceeds rational threshold. Recalibrating challenge." The chamber trembled. Gravity stuttered. Maya lurched sideways, slamming into a wall. RJ's pad slipped from his hand and spun into the air. "They're changing the parameters," he gasped. "They're trying to break the system mid-adaptation. They didn't expect us to succeed." Leo struggled to stabilize the projector as the display warped. "They're not testing us anymore. They're resisting us." Adira's eyes narrowed. They expected obedience, submission to structure, not redefinition. RJ caught his tablet, jaw clenched. "Then let's redefine it again." He dove back in, layering mathematical harmonics atop Maya's visuals, pushing the sphere toward a convergence point. Leo compensated for each gravitational shift with manual input, adjusting the projector's aim in real time. Maya, bruised but undeterred, began singing softly, an improvised tune built on her visual patterns. The symbols slowed, looped, aligned, the sphere's surface smoothed, pulsing in rhythm with their combined input. The room steadied. Then, silence. The Zorthri voice returned, no longer cold, but uncertain. "You override chaos with synthesis. You harmonize contradiction." This was not anticipated. The inner sphere retracted, folding back into the cube with a gentle, mechanical sigh. Adira floated forward. "We didn't come to mimic your intelligence," she said. "We came to show you ours." The cube had gone quiet. Where once it pulsed with complexity, now it floated still, dormant but not defeated. Its many faces glowed with a steady inner light, like coals left behind after a fire. The chamber around it stabilized, the tremors fading to silence. For the first time in hours, the team could simply breathe. Adira exhaled, slow and measured. Is that it? Maya tilted her head, watching faint patterns spiral across the cube's surface. I think it's listening. RJ floated closer, careful now, reverent. Or thinking. Leo wiped a bead of sweat from his brow and tucked the projector away. Maybe both. Then, without warning, the voice returned, no longer whispering into their minds, but resonating in the space around them. You have completed the trial. The team froze. Your solutions defy protocol. Your process violates all predictive models. The test was designed to filter for logic. You redefined it into meaning. RJ squinted. Was that a compliment? Leo smirked. I think it's the closest a space god can get to saying, well played. Maya drifted forward and reached out, not to touch the cube, but to hover her fingers just above its surface. They thought intelligence meant precision, but we showed them it can also mean interpretation, harmony, even emotion. Adira crossed her arms. So what happens now? There was a pause. Not hesitation, exactly, but the weight of something being recalculated in real time. Then, your species is not what we expected. Your minds hold contradiction and synthesis. You build logic not as law, but as language. You pass. The room pulsed softly. A wave of warmth rippled across their skin, and the cube, once dormant, disassembled into a constellation of glowing motes. Each fragment drifted upward, dissolving into the ceiling as it returned to some unseen source. Where the cube had hovered, a single silver arc remained, shimmering like frost under starlight. A doorway. They floated forward together. Through the arch, the chamber changed. Gone was the sterile geometry of the test environment. Here, curved glass and woven light framed a panoramic view of stars. Dozens, hundreds of vessels glided beyond the translucent walls, each one alien in design, yet beautiful in its own right. And there, waiting in the center, were the Zorthri. Not one, but 7. They stood like statues of living mercury, taller than before, more distinct now in posture and form. Eyes, if there were eyes, glowed faintly from within shifting visages. Their collective presence was magnetic, overwhelming. One stepped forward. You were not chosen for your rank, your accolades, or your consensus. You were chosen because you deviated. This is what we had forgotten to test for. RJ glanced at Adira, then back at the Zorthri. You designed a system to measure certainty. We solved it with ambiguity. Maya added, you tested for correctness. We answered with creativity. Leo smiled. You built a trap. We turned it into a tool. The Zorthri's head tilted ever so slightly, their voice like chords played in slow harmony. Then perhaps we owe your species an apology. Silence. Adira floated forward, shoulders squared. We don't need apologies, just recognition. You judged us by your rules. We answered by ours. The Zorthri paused. Then a gesture, subtle, graceful, like a bow refracted through liquid light. Earth is invited to the Concord. Behind them, a soft chime echoed through the chamber. On their tablets and suits, indicators flashed. Transmission codes, access channels, coordinate streams. The data cascaded like a waterfall of keys to 1,000 new doors. Maya blinked in awe. This is everything. Trade routes, scientific exchanges, diplomatic protocols. RJ said quietly, we're in. Leo whistled. I can't wait to break into someone else's Sudoku box. Adira gave a rare smile, one part pride, one part warning. Let's not start another incident before breakfast. As the Zorthri began to withdraw, their voices faded, replaced by a different sound, something quieter, more personal. The test was once our highest truth. It became our prison. Your species may one day free more than yourselves. And then they were alone again. Later, as they prepped for the return transmission to Earth, the mood shifted. Relief gave way to reflection. Maya gazed at the stars. I keep thinking about what they said, that they designed the test to filter out chaos. But in doing so, they erased the very trait that made growth possible. Leo leaned back in his seat. Systems fail when they forget why they were built. RJ nodded. And when they start believing their own rules are universal. Adira checked the shuttle's trajectory, her voice low but steady. Well, now they know better. A pause. Then Leo grinned. Hey, on Earth, we pass time solving Sudoku. Out here, we just pass a galaxy.